Ethan had always been an ordinary college student. At least, that's how he saw himself. A second-year literature major at a prestigious university, he spent most of his days buried in books, lost in the poetic verses of Keats, Shelley, and Shakespeare. But when he first laid eyes on Isabella Laurent, the most beautiful girl in the entire university, his world shifted. Isabella was the kind of girl who seemed like she had walked straight out of a dream. She wasn't just beautiful, she was ethereal. Her hair cascaded down her shoulders like golden silk, glistening under the morning sun, flowing with the grace of a river hissed by moonlight. Her eyes were a deep, mesmerizing shade of sapphire, so vivid that they seemed to hold galaxies within them. They sparkled when she laughed, a sound so sweet it could rival the melody of the wind chimes on a summer evening. Her lips, soft and full, carried the gentle hue of blooming roses, and when she smiled, it was as if the whole world held its breath, waiting to bask in her radiance. Ethan, once content with the quiet solace of books, found himself utterly captivated. But there was a problem. Isabella was the untouchable goddess of the university, admired by all, but approached by none. Countless men had tried to win her heart, yet none had succeeded. She carried herself with an air of grace and quiet mystery, her presence magnetic yet distant. It only fueled Ethan's determination. For days, Ethan pondered over the perfect way to approach her. He wasn't the type to rely on flashy grand gestures or shallow sweet talk. He wanted something real, something that would make her notice him not just as another admirer, but as someone who saw beyond her beauty. His first attempt was through poetry. Every day, he left a beautifully handwritten poem on the bench where Isabella often sat between classes. Each poem captured a different part of her essence, the golden sunlight in her hair, the way her laughter painted warmth in the air, the quiet elegance in her every movement. He never signed his name, letting the mystery linger. And every day, Isabella would pick up the poem, read it with a curious smile, and tuck it gently into her notebook. But weeks passed, and she remained unaware of his identity. Ethan needed another approach, so he turned to music. He knew that Isabella often visited the music hall to listen to students practicing the piano. He wasn't a musician, but he learned a single song just for her Debussy's Clair de Lune. It was a piece as soft and delicate as her presence, filled with longing and quiet passion. One evening, he sat by the grand piano and played, fingers trembling against the keys. When he finished, he looked up, and there she was, standing by the door, watching him with those entrancing sapphire eyes. "That was beautiful," she murmured, stepping closer. Ethan swallowed hard. "I played it for you." Her lips curved into the most breathtaking smile he had ever seen. "Then play it again." From that moment on, something changed. Isabella began noticing him more often. They started talking, first in brief exchanges, then in long conversations that stretched into the night. Ethan discovered that beyond her divine beauty, Isabella was kind, intelligent, and filled with dreams of her own. She wanted to travel the world, to paint sunsets in faraway lands, to write poetry that made hearts ache. Slowly, Ethan became a part of her world. They spent evenings walking through the university gardens, where the scent of blooming roses lingered in the air. He read her poetry under the glow of vintage street lamps, his voice carrying the weight of unspoken emotions. He watched as she closed her eyes and listened, her expression soft, her lips parted just slightly as if savoring every word. But there was still one thing missing. He hadn't confessed his feelings. One autumn evening, under the vast expanse of a starlit sky, he finally found the courage. They stood on the rooftop of the old library, the city lights twinkling below them like scattered diamonds. Isabella leaned against the railing, her hair dancing in the cool breeze, the moonlight casting a silver glow upon her porcelain skin. "I have something to tell you," Ethan said, his heart pounding. She turned to him, her gaze gentle yet unreadable. "What is it?" Taking a deep breath, He met her eyes. "I've loved you from the moment I saw you." A moment of silence stretched between them, fragile and delicate. Then Isabella smiled, a soft, radiant smile that made the stars themselves seem dim. "I know." Ethan blinked. You do?" She laughed softly, reaching up to brush a strand of hair from his face. "How could I not? You left me poetry like whispers of your heart. You played a song just for me. You saw me, Ethan, not just my face, but everything I am." His breath hitched as she stepped closer, her presence intoxicating. And then, with the gentleness of falling petals, she kissed him. It was a kiss that spoke of quiet longing, of a love that had been blooming in unspoken words and stolen glances. A kiss that felt like the turning of a page in a love story that had only just begun. And in that moment, as the stars bore witness, Ethan knew he had finally won the heart of the most beautiful girl in the world.